Barstools and Bandtalk. If we've ever got a good night for you tonight, tell about our
We
special
do.
guest, Sean.
I'm Dave. I'm Dave. I'm Sean. This is Dave. We don't own any of the music that you're going to be listening to and you're going to be hearing. I'm really excited we were able to tee this gentleman up. I think he's got a lot that he's going to hit us with tonight. If he's doing an awful lot of really cool stuff with this live streaming. So without further ado, my good buddy, Maurice Aucoin. Da, 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 da.
We invited him.
Is he here?
See, the green room that we have is really awesome. There he is, Maurice Aucoin from the Press
guys.
Makers. Welcome, Maurice.
How are you doing?
We're doing well, brother.
Excellent, excellent, excellent.
So where do we start, Maurice? You and I chatted a little bit this afternoon, and you were telling me about some of the memorabilia and stuff that you have, but we're just going to let you go. Where do you want to start?
Well, I'll start I don't know. I guess I noticed great interviews. Marnie was phenomenal. That was great. That was nice seeing her. That was great. And Jackie, we're talking about people that have been doing this since the 1980s and like the late 70s even. That's just crazy. I was just thinking with this today. I was talking with my housemate here what I had to go through today to put together a production for June 30th. That's physical distancing in mind and all that is light years from what it was back then, And back then, until this happened with the advent of maybe digital technology to some degree, a microphone was still a microphone, and a stage was still a stage, and a drum set was still a drum set, and it was all just like rock and roll. It just developed, but man, it all went on his ear like in 2 months, right? So it's kind of neat trying to do gigs now in a whole new realm that I've never. Dude, I never knew how to use Zoom 6 weeks ago.
I didn't know how to spell Zoom 6 weeks ago.
I know, but I got this whole AV thing geared up. I got a green screen behind me. I got all this crazy stuff, and I'm diving into it, right? I got nothing else. After 40 years of rock and roll, there's nothing else I can do, and I'm just trying to stay relevant, dude.
When did you start, Maurice? When is the start date for you?
Well, I was in a band in my last year of high school. We actually started doing some actual paying gigs. So that would be my first professional band. I had a couple before that. So I actually started in 1979. Between 78 and 79, I had my first gig with a couple of guys from Sackville and all that. And then I actually started making a living in 1980. I had a job in a grocery store for 6 months. But I had to leave that job because the band took over. And I've been since 1980, almost into 81. In 1980, I started working full time. So I haven't had a day job, and I haven't been unemployed until 2 months ago.
Oh, God, love you.
But I'm only semi-unemployed. I'm starting to get gigs back online. It's really crazy, actually. I got corporate gigs coming up, doing virtual concerts and stuff like that. This is insane, man. It's crazy.
Well, we had talked about that, but Jackie Smith gave you, I was telling you today, he gave you a huge shout out about, you seem to be a guy, and I mean, I know you're part of that old school, bring the big PA, bring the big light show, whatever.
Done it.
You're always mixing, you're doing karaoke, so it doesn't surprise me that you're one of these guys that's really latching on to this. But Jackie gave you a huge shout out about what you're doing with it, how impressed he was with how you've taken it from a microphone to a production.
Yeah, well, I'm just trying to make myself relevant. There's a million of us out there trying to do that, and the guys that are doing really good at it have been doing it longer than, long before this, they needed to do it. You know what I mean? My son-in-law has been doing a vlog for about 4 or 5 years, and some of his video work is actually phenomenal. It's broadcast quality stuff. Like, he's done videos for a couple of bands. What was the last one he did? He did a thing for Garrison Brewery. And it was a concert that they did, that one they did last year, and it's like, man, like the camera, he's just so smart at it, right? And he does it for fun, and it's like, man, you should be making a living at it. Now that I'm stuck here doing my little videos at home, I'm seeing how hard it is to make any money at it. But who knows? Whatever happens with it. But man, back in the beginning, who would have ever thought this, eh? And it's just insane. I mean, I was happy to get into a band. I bought a microphone. I'm in a band, you know what I mean? And I tried playing guitar, and I sucked so bad I became the lead singer. And then we started working. That was my first actual working band was called Newborn. and I was a Dartmouth band, and that's when my who remember at that time my contemporaries would have been, well, the Spoons were playing. That would have been when they played. Jackie was just putting he had Razor Boy together, just going there at the time, and they were the bands that played. We were all kind of in competition and all that, right? But
Yeah.
but we got to know each other real quickly. Like, so I was in the business in a matter of months. I got to know pretty well everybody on the scene, and I just stuck with it. And but the stories, like the road stories, and all, like Jackie was saying, like I can tie some of those records. You know what I mean? Like going on the road. Here's a good one for me. We leave on Monday morning and go to Campbellton or someplace in New Brunswick and do your 6 nights. You come home on Sunday, just enough to do a load of laundry, pay a couple bills, go down, put some money aside and go down to the Palace or the Moon and get hammered on a Sunday night, and then get up Monday morning and go down, pay our bills at the music stop or whatever, and run back out the door and do another 6 nights somewhere else in New Brunswick or maybe Bridgewater or somewhere. And this would go on for months. I'd have 4 nights off, 4 nights off a month. And this, someplace we do cabarets, like we do the Moon or we do the Palace.
Yeah.
I remember we did a 14-night stint at Melanie's, which was right across the street from the Lobster Trap. That was in the old Chateau Halifax Hotel.
Right.
And that was and they hired you for 14 nights in a row, 2 7-nighters in a row. We nearly broke up. The band nearly quit. But but I'll tell you how long ago that was. Do you know Annie Oakley?
Yep.
Okay.
100%.
She was the door. She was doing the coat check at that place when I was playing there. We were both just getting in the scene, and that's when I first met her. And like Marnie's talking about the stories about when she first started, like she was just a barfly, you know what I mean? And then it led her into the job, the career, and that's the same thing Anne did. A lot of people were just barflies, and they just got sucked into that thing, this music scene that we had, and it was a good time. It was great, man. It's awesome, and we survived it.
It's almost inspiring for Sean and I because we probably came onto the scene a little bit late. Now we feel like we know it so well, but we were probably mid-late 80s where you guys pioneered it from the early 80s. So I never been at the old.
It didn't change much.
Well, the stories I was hearing about the old Misty Moon on Gotcha Street, the Doobie Brothers coming in.
I just missed that. Just missed that. I never stepped foot. I was in there. We were cleaning it out, actually. I bought a couple pieces of equipment. That's where I met Terry, actually. I met him then. And when he moved on to Kemp Road, we were pretty much on the scene by then. And I guess played with, what was it? Some of the shows I've seen there. I saw Luba there one night on Kemp Road. She had played the Metro Center opening up for, I forget who she was opening up for, but she was the opening act. So the following night she stayed and she played Night the Misty Moon. It was Ken and I and Paul Bento and 2 bartenders.
Wow.
Put on a show for the 3 of us. Like it was like, man, it was a private show. It was
Is that
awesome.
right?
The band outnumbered the audience. And she just did it. I've been a fan of hers ever since. It was totally cool. But I've seen lots of cool stuff like that. Back in the day, see, the Misty Moon used to have entertainment 7 nights a week. And some nights there'd be nobody there, but they'd still have entertainment. Because, it was the law, the cabaret license and all that, And but they'd have so many people on the weekend. There'd be 2,500 people jammed in there. And they could go 4 nights with nobody in the bar. And then the 2 nights or whatever, like would pay for the entire week. So you saw some really great entertainment face up, right close up. Like this, I saw a few. Brian Adams played in there for nobody, for a small crowd when he was here. He was opening up for Loverboy, And he did a show at the Misty Moon. There's those little shows that you don't wow, you never couldn't believe where he would go, right? But he was special then. He was good then. But those bars were great. I mean, like we never worked so hard, making so little money and thinking we were doing so well. And, the things, I mean, you talk about how much money you make in the music business. Yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. You got to have your heart into it. But I mean, I used to make a week what I make a night sometimes now, you know what I mean? And now the workload has changed. changed, mind you. I mean, I'm taking a guitar and a gig bag and plugging into the wall mixer, and I'm standing there, or I take my acoustic guitar to do a solo gig. Well, back then, the whole band would drag in a one-ton truckload of gear. If you didn't have at least 24 Power 64s, you sucked. You just were no good. You had to have that to be judged. To be judged as a decent band, you had to have a minimal amount of equipment, which is probably a Martin system, 24 Powers. And 500-watt ones were like, oh, you should have thousands. You know, that's how you were judged. You know,
we had 6 butterfly cabinets we had on the road then, 6 of them. I remember carrying that shit.
And you had to have the wardrobe, you had to have the hair, you had to have it all. That's how you were judged. And then something happened. It was right around the time that Guns N' Roses got popular. People started wearing street clothes on stage. All like all the hair bands started changing. You notice that? You know, like right when Guns N' Roses, the spandex kind of started disappearing, and the boys started showing up with the ripped jeans and all that, right? And
it's an interesting take, Maurice, because Jackie, he will admittedly say he went on a rant the other night about how our scene changed. And he that's exactly what he talked about. Before you'd show up, you were wearing your jeans, you jump in the phone booth, you come out, you
had to. No, there was no question. If you didn't do that, you were, that's right. You had
and
to.
He feels that our scene around here took a nosedive right around the time that the smoking ban came into play. And he felt that kind of changed the landscape a little bit. And I pointed out to him, which he sort of agreed. I think it's making a tick back because what's going on in Argyle Street and stuff like that, that's pretty exciting. It's new, it's fresh,
Yeah.
But it's definitely changed from when we were back there playing.
Yeah. You see, the problem is some of us are guilty or more guilty of it than others, but Jackie and all this, like we look back with fondness, and they're wonderful times. There were great times in our world, right? But, the music business has changed, and I don't know if it's for the better or for worse. I don't know. I found that after people got tired of 24 Power 64s and a Martin double stack, people started listening to bands again. But like we went from with wardrobes, we were sponsored by hairspray companies. I mean, we were really, we had that. I wore a different outfit every set. If my shoe became untied, I couldn't bend over and tie it in front of the audience. I'd sneak off behind the curtain and tie it on a guitar solo. You know what I mean? It was just everything had to be. And then one day, people started showing up in their street clothes. And then you started playing in bars with 3 lights hanging off the ceiling, and it kind of became the norm. That moment passed, and I went with the big bars. It kind of all, I don't know, the underground scene when Sloan came out around then, the big production didn't matter as much. I think people started listening to music. I think what we had fun being rock stars, people actually started watching with their eyes again. And so it kind of relegated a lot of these big bar production stuff. You know what I mean? Like if you notice, like just progressively as of around the 1990 into that era, it just seemed to like lose its way that way. But I think people still are very much in tune with what they're hearing, or they always have been.
Well,
I mean,
admittedly, the 90s to me weren't there's not much music in the 90s that I enjoy. I'm an 80s, 70s guy, and some of the stuff that's out now. But you do have a good point, because I remember when Sloan got together, because I was in a band to get together literally the same week, and you felt, some coming in and they were signing anybody that could play a guitar. And the Double Deuce was like, you went in there and it wasn't the bands that rehearsed. It was the guys that could play 3 chords, and it was a different vibe around the town. And it was weird. It was weird.
The Seattle scene in Halifax was really what happened. In the underground scene, you had bands like, Joel Plaskett came out of that scene. You had Super Friends. You had, Sloan. Like all those guys come out and emulated what was happening in Seattle. And it kind of killed it for the hair bands, kind of for the show bands, really.
Yeah, but see, it was a movement. It wasn't a style. It was a movement more than like, you look at when we broke on, I forget what they were called. You guys have to help me with this. They used to be called Quadrant. That's what the band was called. Yep. They played the bars for years, and then they did this metal show, and they had the homemade costumes, and they had the chains and the whole bit, and they all tried to look like Twisted Sister and all that, and they did all that kind of stuff, right? And it was kind of goofy, but they were trying to do that. I can't quite explain it because it wasn't a natural thing for them. They were just trying to cash in on the show.
Right.
But as soon as Sloan, and soon as like Guns N' Roses and like in the Pearl Jam and all that grunge stuff and the Seattle stuff, I mean, the dudes were wearing cargo shorts, ripped shirts, and we all did the same thing. And we let our hair grow long, and we looked shaggy, and I wasn't changing shorts, or I wasn't wearing spandex pants anymore, and we kind of like, it was grungy. It just kind of got grungy, and all the bands that broke out at the same time. It was a movement. That's what made it successful. It wasn't one band. Sloan wouldn't have stood a chance if they'd done it by themselves. But it seemed like that year, all the guys decided they want to write their own music, and something happened. It might have something to do with like there was a lot of things in play, a lot of things lined up, and then it became a bubble. You had like the Sound Market studio became vogue, and everybody wanted to be there, and all of a sudden all the bands started getting good at the same time and coming up with some good music. And I don't think it was a planned event. I think it was timing. I think there's a whole bunch of guys the same age, kind of the same mindset. They must have been triggered by something, I guess. I don't know. They were just a little younger than me. I was already set in my ways doing the cover tunes by then, and then I did a spell. I was going to go all original, and then I got sucked back into it again because the steady gigs,
But Maurice, you're a talented writer too. I've heard a lot of your original stuff. It's awesome. I love your original stuff.
You go through phases. I still that's my passion now. For every cover tune I learn now, I write one. And because as far as gigs go, I mean, you guys know very well the set list is printed on the wall.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, so I spend more time trying to think outside the box these days. And even in the last year or two, the band didn't rehearse all that much. We were on top of the game. We play enough that, we had our shots there. You played with us,
Yeah.
You knew the shots in our band, and you never played with us before because the songs are on the wall,
Yeah.
But that's what now at this point in my career, writing music it's a whole new buzz all over again. Like I wrote songs 30 years ago and a batch of them, and that's where I was headed. And I know for whatever reason, life got in the way. I wanted to keep making a little bit of money. There was no money in it back then, That's the thing. And I had a daughter by then. I was trying to raise my daughter, so I stuck with the sure bet sort of thing. And then, I trickled out a couple songs, and now I'm fine. And we did an album in 2004. We released the album, and nobody in the band knows the songs. I'm the only original guy off those albums. So, but no, that's my passion now, dude. I mean, I'm just trying to write as much as I can now, just because seems to be, the thing to do for me anyway. My set list isn't going anywhere. My songs are still there, and the band is, as soon as we can go do a gig, we'll do a gig, and it'll be might be a little loose the first night, I guess, but I'm sure.
Are you doing much traveling now, Maurice?
Right now, the last 8 weeks.
Well, no, not now.
No,
we talked about this.
Yeah, a little bit, not much. We go to Fredericton once in a while. It's hard because John's got a contracting business. His dad's getting old, and he's retiring, and he's kind of taken over the thing. And the last 3 times I played Dolan's, I brought a different version of the band each time, trying to piece together a band. But the good thing is that Larry up there, he knows our set list. You know what I mean? He knows everybody's set list. And so it's still a rock and roll machine. But that brings us back to something else. Back in the early 80s, and even back in the mid and late 80s even, and later, nobody did that. Nobody did that. Everybody had enough gigs. And if you got caught playing with the other band more than twice, they're probably going to fire you by then. You know what I mean? You're really lucky to get out of it once, but no one played in 2-3 bands. Nowadays everybody plays in a half dozen bands. It's crazy.
It's almost norm. It's almost that gig that I was supposed to play with you guys to sub in was last weekend, if you can believe that.
That's something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah.
I remember you the night that we popped out to, you were playing at Pizza Town. I remember you're we got months. We don't have to worry about it. That's time.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah. No, it's going, this is just a complete, I don't know what to call it.
You're allowed to swear here. It's a safe place. Jackie made a good point last night talking about a band like Haywire. Haywire had 1 member change in their entire career. And that doesn't happen anymore. And it's not wrong.
Very
It's
rare.
just
Very
different.
rare. It's very rare. Very rare. I'm trying to think on a local level if it's even happened. The list of the persuaders, man, we got like close to 30 in our alumni. You
Is
know,
that right?
yeah, but the band's been together 31 years, so one guy every year or so, somebody comes and goes.
Yeah, fair.
No, or you'll go like I say, you know, you know, but to have bands that stick together like that, like you know, well, Sloan, I don't think did much in the change. I mean, they're pretty much the same crew.
Yep.
And they still do gigs and stuff. I mean, the Trues, they're the same
Yep.
boys that started out, you know, and that's you know, that's kind of special, and that's what makes them really good too. You know, that's what makes them. You know, that it really, you know, that'll buy them like their career, like the Tragically Hip on a bigger level, of course, right? But that's like it's so special when that does happen. All the albums still sound like the same band. You know what I mean? You know, you get member change and it'll change the whole flow of an album or of a band or how they sound. And it's, you know, but yeah, to do that, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool thing to do. I know that, you know, I think the longest I've ever went was maybe 2 or 3 years with the same lineup, maybe a little bit longer. But, you know, the last few years have been, well, last 4 years now, we haven't made any changes. But,
yeah, you have to make some cuts every now and again to keep people honest, right?
well, what it is, you know, people just come and go. You know,
Yeah.
other things come up. You know, and it is what it is. I mean,
It's like you said, though, Maurice.
That's not a big deal anymore. That's not a big deal anymore, man. Back in the old days, man, it was like, you know, it was so different because, and it was a competition. You know, you look at somebody posted some pictures. Wait till I get my stuff out. Like I have stuff put away, right? I got some cool stuff. And I had to laugh when I seen some of the writing on the dressing room walls. That was the tame stuff. The pictures that they posted of the dresser with the old graffiti on the walls, the stuff they posted, man, that's tame. The stuff that we used to write on the walls, right? Because we'd be there the week after somebody else, and we just trash each other, right? It was the thing to do. And the worse you were insulted, the higher regard you seem to be kept from it. Like you're going in the dressing room hoping somebody called you an asshole, you know.
Yeah.
Where's it at? Damn it, didn't write anything about me. Man,
Does he know my mom?
Oh, pardon me, but it's so disappointing when but that's all that stuff. Like that's all gone now. You don't even have dressing rooms anymore.
No,
You know,
you don't.
There's none.
No place to warm up. No place to get dressed. No, you basically roll in off your car, jump in, and you know.
Yeah, like we wouldn't have done that. We would have turned that gig down. We said, no, we can't play here. You know, we need a dressing room. You know.
Yeah.
It was cool. But rock and roll was
Where's
fun.
my deli tray? Where's my fucking deli tray?
Yeah, we weren't quite that bad. We were sponsored by. We had a couple of beer sponsorships over the years. I got some funny stories about that one. We did a gig at Smooth Herman's one time, and I was actually filling in for another band. The boys, they used to be called Half Cut, and half the guys from Half Cut joined the Persuaders, and the other guys went on to form who became the Loungeflies. But they were called The Rain for a little while, and the lead singer was waiting to get on at the mill up there, and he had to wait for the phone call to come in. He couldn't go to Smooth Herman's for the week, so they hired me to go up with them. So I said, great, well, then we'll grab my PA, we'll make a kind of whole deal. So I said, but wait a minute, before we go, I said, I'll talk to my beer rep, and I'll get us some beer for the week, right? So anyway, we went to get the beer for the week, and we got out of the truck, at the one-ton truck, pull up, and then the guy comes out with the forklift. I don't know what the deal was, but he gave us our month's quota or whatever. He gave us like, I don't know how many flats of beer we got. And the guys nearly died when they saw us. So we took this, and I'll tell you, at the end of the week, there wasn't one beer left. Right? It was just insanity for the entire week, and you know, and the bottles all stacked up. It was an insane week. You can't do that now. You know what I mean? Besides, nobody sponsors anybody anymore to begin with. But all the bands had sponsorships, and I was also sponsored by Hairspray. Joyco sponsored us when I was in FX.
Wow.
We had a Molson sponsorship as well for a while too. Actually, most of the bands back then, a lot of them had beer sponsors back then, and that was really good because you get nice posters, nice shiny posters all made up. It was mostly for beer though. It was really
Always for beer.
I had some nice jackets. Persuaders got some nice denim jackets made up along the way. Brew Moose had paid for those, and So, you know, that's kind of stuff. Those are the things you don't see much anymore. You don't see sponsorships like, you'll see individual sponsorships like Chris Potty sponsored right up the wazoo with his drum stuff, right? And that's totally cool. But you don't see many bands sponsored like that anymore.
Maybe that's where I love my penchant for free stuff came from, because I remember at the sponsorship days too, and I just love getting free stuff because we weren't getting paid any money. So you know what? If you got some free stuff, man, you were in.
Yeah, no, yeah. Look, made your profile look good too. You know, of course it did. You know, but like the traveling, it cost us so much to do for what we made. We spent all of our money just getting there. You know what I mean? The gas, and we'd rent gear. Like, you know, we used to rent a truck, and I remember we do a couple gigs, and it'd be like, you know, but it'd be like we're doing a week in town, so we don't have to rent a truck for the week, so that we can all get an extra $100.
Exactly.
And the agent would get the other half, you know. And we
Exactly.
would do this because we loved it, and it was awesome, right? You know, we did the big production, you know, like I don't think I'd want to play for free anymore. I mean, you know, I didn't want to do it then, but you had no choice. It wasn't that it wasn't like you were playing for free, but you were, because you had to have all this gear and you had to travel with it yourself. Like, you know, a lot of the bars have house production, right?
That's right.
But house production might mean one light on the ceiling and a speaker on a stand over here and something hanging off the wall over here and a sub on the corner over there. And, you know, and you bring your own mics and you plug in, and, you know, and we're used to that now, right? But back then you needed a 5-ton truck, you know, you needed it all. And
We talked about that with Jackie. Now in Excess Energy and Cradle, we were kind of like a B band, to be honest. We weren't on the Drama or the Razor Boy or
yeah,
Pure Flying level.
they had the bigger production than us too.
But we had a $3,000, like we needed to make at least $3,000 just to break even. Just to break even.
And we did it. And yeah, that's the things, you know. So I guess I don't miss that aspect of it. But think about it, guys. How many people have ever done it now in the last 10 years? Really, no one does
Well,
that.
and here's a question. How many people have got 8 people into a cube van? And you know what I'm talking about with that.
We've done that, but no one
Right?
does. It's illegal now. Well, it's probably illegal back then too. But
Well, it sure was. But
we had no choice. It was the only vehicle we had on the road.
We used to jump out of the scales. Remember doing that? You get to the scales at Truro or before the airport and jump out. 3 or 4 guys to jump out to go to the scales, and they come around and pick them back up.
The other thing too, you got to think about back in the days, right? Most musicians didn't have a car then.
No.
The girlfriends had a car, because most musicians back then were full-time musicians. They didn't have day jobs. Very few did. The ones that had day jobs were exhausted. They'd work all weekend. I'd see guys that they go play the Misty Moon all 7 nights. I said, how the hell are you doing that, man? You got to go to work in the morning. Oh, it's really tough, man. I guess it is tough. Well, those are the guys that had a car, but those are the guys that were most likely to fall asleep at the wheel and hit a tree. I mean, most musicians back in the day, their girlfriends drove them around when they got into town. So everybody piled into the cube van that we rented. It was the only vehicle we had, you know. So, you know, we had no choice back then. Now,
That's
we
right.
go to Pennington now. There's no place to park all our cars.
Honest to God, eh? Maurice, I have a question for you. Now we got to wrap this up here shortly because we're running out of time.
Cool.
Where do you see yourself going in the future? Like, it's changed. We know it's changed. We're not gonna, you know, we can't be pessimistic about it. We're just gonna reinvent the wheel. What are you gonna do?
I'm diving into this on live presence right now. I've got to. I sunk a bunch of money and things into it as soon as I saw it happening, because I'm going out kicking and screaming. That's what I'm doing. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
Man, I can't stop. It's all I've ever done, man. It's all I've ever done. Yeah. And it's neat to see guys like Jackie still, you know, like, you know, the guys that started off with me that never stopped doing it, you know. I mean, he might have dipped out for a little while, but he's been a face in the public, you know. I mean, whether it's been karaoke or the band or whatever, right? And I'm one of those guys. Sam Moon, you know, same thing. Matt Minglewood on a side. I worked with Matt for Christ over the course of a year and a half. That's how I got to work with Scrapper. Scrapper worked with me for a while. Like, I got to know these guys just because, you know, I admire the guys that were lifers. You know, I admired them much more than a guy that was playing on the weekends and holding down this fancy job. And, you know, I'm not saying they couldn't play. They weren't fine musicians, but I wanted to hang out with the guys that made it their life. Those guys I was hanging out with, right? You know, they had better stories too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are we running out of time there? Just about? Oh, no, we're doing good. Okay, cool. I mean, I get all night and I got a fridge full of beer.
Well, there you go. But Maurice, we were talking there earlier today, and you said, yeah, I got a bunch of stuff. I got all kinds of stuff we could talk about and show. I don't know if you got any of that kicking around that
I got some pictures I could show you probably at some point.
Okay.
I can put them on my green screen. But like some of the sort of the stories, some of them I'm going to post up on your site.
Please do.
I haven't had a chance to get them all out yet, and I've been actually really busy getting stuff ready. Like I got my first corporate gig coming up. It's a kitchen party kind of Zoom room thing, and this thing for Patriot Days. It's going to be it's a pretty cool thing. We're doing a drive-in, but the drive-in movie is going to be half the movie, and the other half is going to be a virtual concert on a big screen. Right?
Cool.
We're going to present our videos and put the package together, and we're going to put it. It's going to be live stream so people can see it at home, and then the fireworks everybody can watch from their cars and whatnot. So, we're trying to keep it going, but it's all virtual. It's all online. It's all these podcasting stuff, right? And I'm getting to learn how to do it. You guys are doing the same thing right now with me. We're all doing the same thing. We're learning this. This is where it's going, dude. Yeah, that's
one of the things too, Maurice, I was going to mention, and so you get a live stream coming up on, is it Friday?
Yeah, this Friday. Yeah, my fifth.
But you also did one with John Sear that was last weekend. That raised some money for a good cause, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that was that raised like nearly $8 grand or more, whatever. Yeah, for medical stuff. So that was kind of cool, and that's really neat. I like doing that too. I mean, I don't want to always look like I'm playing with my hand out, right? That was a fundraiser for a bigger cause, and I thought that was really cool to be involved with that. And the thing is too, when you give up your time to do a benefit or something like that, when you're sitting at home, it's not costing you much to do it.
Right.
And so.
But you know what? You're not a guy that has your hand out. You're a lifer, brother, and we have so much respect and support for you. We want to know, and through our website here, through the Barstools and Bandtalk website, when your next live stream is going to be. We'd like to promote that. Yep. And you know what? It's okay to put, not your hand out. It's just, hey, I get paid. This is how I get paid. And, we'll talk about how to do that. But can you let us know when you have your next one?
That's for sure. Well, it's this Friday for sure. The thing that's really bizarre about all this is that we're all at the same time trying to figure out. This is kind of fun, actually. I'm having fun with you guys tonight. I'm having fun live, and who knows who's all going to watch this. The part that we're all trying to figure out is where's the income stream,
right?
And that's the thing. If I'm going to stay playing music full time, what I'm doing, this isn't doing it, and hopefully it'll come back to some sense of normal. But it's going to be a long time coming before we can do where we were. I see myself getting some sort of day job, to pick up some extra cash, and I didn't think at this point in my life I'd have to do something like that. So that's the scary part. But I'm not stupid either. I mean, I'll go get a job. It's worst case scenario. Right. You have a day job.
I do. Yeah. I was at my day job today when we were talking.
Are you cut way back?
It's, I'm fortunate. I work for what's considered an essential service, and I haven't stopped. And I certainly feel for, my bandmates, other guys aren't working.
Yeah.
I was talking to Leith the other night. We're going to have Leith on the show. And Leith, he's going, he was supposed to be in, I think, Germany this week or last week. Yeah. So, everybody's missing out. There's no question.
Yeah.
But I do think it's pretty cool how everybody in a way seems to be coming together. And the folks who are friendly and buds and all that, everybody seems to be supporting one another.
Oh,
so that's really
good. What I like is these live streams and everybody posting these songs out. You know what? I never seen half these guys. I know who they are. They stop in at my gig all the time. Or, we'll pass by one another. Or I'll be seeing somebody set up, or I'll catch one song here and there of going through the alehouse on my way home from another gig. But very rarely I get to see anybody else play. And it's getting to the point now. I'm like, I know people, half people's their set list now because they're online now. So you're actually reaching quite an audience, and you're getting to know the guys that you've known around. I didn't know he played that. Man, that's cool, and so that's kind of neat. Like, I'm getting to see more of everybody online than I ever did in person. So if there's anything that's good of coming in, we're actually staying quite well connected. And
you know what? I think this is it. This is probably something we should close on, is that Sean and I didn't really know what we were going to do when we started this website, but it seems that we've kind of started a community, and we want to grow the community a little bit more. But the community is going to support each other for sure, whether it be the local restaurant who needs to keep in business, because they're not getting the sit-down staff anymore, or guys like Maurice Aucoin, who's a lifer who needs support to do his craft. So
figure it out.
We're here for you, brother, just like you've been here for us all along.
Yeah, and I mean, you got to stay visible. You know, you guys can't just, not do anything. That's what I love to do. I can't imagine doing anything else except, well, I'll find something to do if I have to. But that's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to figure out, the next step. I didn't really see it coming until everybody else did, and I'm on a fast, steep learning curve here because I'm taking on work that I would have taken on before, as I didn't know how to do it. And I still don't quite know how to do it yet, but I'm getting better at it. My concerts are getting better. The sound is getting better. My lighting is getting better. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? I'm starting to tweak it, and that's kind of neat. And I'm getting some. It's a new. It's like it's a new skill. I'm learning. It's like I'm going to school for the next
Right
8
on.
weeks. I'm going to school, and then I got to go up and find a way to make money with it, I guess. And we're all doing the same thing. I love your show, by the way. The show is awesome. Even a little driving around the city in front of bars. It's just it's quirky. It's so cool. So cool. And like hearing Marnie talking with stories from the old days. I mean, I was there.
You really, yeah.
You know,
And Maurice, it's hard to believe we're doing this whole show with no budget. Can you believe that?
Absolutely. I mean, we're reaching a lot of people.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great.
Yeah, cool.
Really appreciate you being here, bro. Really love you. You and I love playing with you guys. You always take care of me when I play with you, and it's always fun.
Yeah.
And, hey,
I'm gonna start posting. I'm gonna post those stuff up, those photos and stuff, and I gotta dig them out.
Please do.
Put your live show on Friday night, and you're gonna keep it posted. Thanks for doing it.
Oh man, stick it out, man. Let's rock and roll.
Maurice Aucoin, everybody. Maurice Aucoin.
Another 40 years.
Amen, brother. Amen.
All right.
Peace out.
Yeah.
Barstools